And we welcome you into the latest installment of the Crustacean Nation podcast on HickoryCrawdads.com. I'm the voice of the Hickory Crawdads, Brian Rushing. So glad that you could join us for our latest installment. When we come back on the other side of the break, the Assistant GM for Sales, Robby Willis, will join us. We'll talk about his time in pro baseball, how he got here from the state of New York, and so much more as we continue on the latest episode of the Crustacean Nation podcast on HickoryCrawdads.com.
You know the ones who give and then give some more? The brave ones who serve from the heart and choose love, who make untold sacrifice to help others get ahead, and who are always there when you need them. We see you, and we're celebrating you. To the ones who help make us exceptional, thank you. People's Bank. Be exceptional. Visit peoplesbanknc.com. Member FDIC Equal Opportunity Lender.
And we welcome you back to this latest installment of the Crustacean Nation podcast, here with Robby Willis, the Assistant GM of Sales, here with the Hickory Crawdads. Robby, great to have you this afternoon. Thank you for spending a little time with me in our next installment of the Crustacean Nation podcast.
Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here.
Well, it's good having you here because you basically fill out the top row of the chart of organization here within the Hickory Crawdads system. And I wanted to have you on because a lot of folks might think, well, Robby Willis, he handles sales, but it's got to be just ticket sales. Obviously, it's farther reaching than that. First of all, let everybody know a little bit about you, how long you've been with the team, but then let's kind of dive in, if you could, with the overall, the overview, if you will, of what it is that you do from a sales perspective.
Sure. Yeah, so this is my 8th season with the club. And yeah, as you mentioned, I am over sales. Initially started just as a group sales executive and essentially moved my way up. But yeah, so, in terms of sales, the first thing that comes to mind is ticket sales. And, I do oversee that and that department and the people in there. But really, aside from the ticket sales, also corporate sponsorships and sales on that end, and then also overseeing our special events as well. So kind of any revenue coming to the ballpark from a fan perspective or from a company perspective as well, that flows through me.
So when I see all the signs on the concourse, all the signs on our 4-tier wall in right field, much of that is your doing.
Yes, or I'm at least trying to help activate it or familiar with it. It's gotten to the point where, we have maybe 200 plus sponsors, and maybe 80% could tell you exactly what they have here and where it is and stuff like that.
So in other words, you guys are going to be building a 5th wall sometime soon. That makes for quite a day. So I was going to ask, the reality is your day probably never really stops. I know you've got a check-in time here, and you leave at some point because you've got to get sleep unless you sleep here at the ballpark. But really, you're almost always on call. If there's a customer that needs something, if there is a sponsor that's got an activation coming up, you're going to be having those conversations up close and personal with that particular partner, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing. Email's always on. I'm always checking my phone, stuff like that. It's really just a part of, at least in my mind, a part of the sales process and building those relationships.
Now, from that perspective, obviously as, we get closer to a first pitch, you're going to have a lot of folks filing to the ballpark that haven't gotten tickets. They're going to get tickets. You've got a staff that's going to help you handle that. But really, how much time would you say, by percentage of the course of your day, are you actually actively calling on clients, actively calling on customers, actively trying to get the ball rolling for someone to come out and experience a Hickory Crawdads baseball game?
Yeah, so I would say myself, in terms of the sponsorship side, a lot more calling does take place in the off season, and by season, everything should be in place except for a few that you might get along the way during the course of the actual season. But at this point, like for today, for example, I have a couple sponsors that are coming out. They might have some table nights out there distributing promotional material and stuff like that. And it's just kind of a check-in call, make sure they know what time to be out here, what's best in terms of parking, and just kind of making it as smooth and as easy as possible for them so that they have a good experience. And then, for example, with those table nights, a lot of times they'll do that for the first part of the game, and then we'll get them some seats so they can enjoy the final half of it. So
fantastic. This question just came to mind. This is a fan base that is absolutely in love with replica jerseys. You can't come to a game on a given night and see a wide array of jersey giveaway nights that are represented here by the folks wearing them. They don't just take them home and kind of put them away or kind of put them in a frame or anything. They're literally wearing this stuff to where going all the way back 10, 11 years before you even got here, they're still wearing those jerseys. What is it that's the fascination with those replica jerseys, and does it make it easier or more difficult in your job to make sure that there are plenty of nights, just like what we're going to experience tonight, for those jerseys to be a part of the culture of Hickory Crawdads baseball?
Yeah, I mean, that is something I have noticed, and really I think what it is that the fans just want to feel like they're a part of the team, in which they are. And, wearing jerseys like that, I actually am a jersey enthusiast myself. It's just one of those where you want to support the team, support the area, and I think that's what it is. And it is kind of funny because I was just thinking that last night when I saw quite a few. So last night we had our Llamas Day Hickory, and I saw quite a few people wearing either our giveaways from a couple of years ago that we gave away a llama jersey, or the soccer themed one from this season as well.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just, they like to be a part of something, and, kind of like the community aspect and feel. And when you come out to events like this and you're able to, be a part of it. And honestly, I think that's great. And one of the reasons I really like working here and being a part of minor league baseball.
Let me ask you this question as a bit of a follow-up. Of all the ones that you've been responsible for helping make happen, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite jersey that just like, even today, you're like, wow, we really hammered it as far as putting this jersey together?
I would say the one I do like that we just did two weeks ago maybe was the Hickory Dickory Docks.
Okay.
Just from the beginning, Hickory Dickory Docks, I think it's something that screams minor league baseball, even before seeing the jerseys and everything like that. And so once that idea kind of came to light there, I think it all just kind of fell in place, and I think the jerseys came out great. Looking at I remember seeing like the first renderings when Ashley, who's over marketing, showed me those, and when I first saw the clock with the mouse on, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is going to be pretty cool. So I would say that just that whole concept, that whole brand, that jersey giveaway would probably be my favorite so far with us.
The creative side of what people like you and Ashley do daily, that has to be one of the most fun parts of this job.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And say I give it more to marketing. I like to think of myself as just like they might come to me with a few ideas and to just kind of brainstorm and whatnot. Yeah, that's absolutely one of the fun parts is whenever we go through the promotional schedule and look ahead to next year and what's going on and what kind of rebranding we might be able to do. Just one of the cool things of the job.
Now, the next question I want to ask is how does a guy that's from New York State, living about an hour away from the city that never sleeps, end up in North Carolina working in minor league baseball, no less? How does that even happen?
Yeah, it's I'd say it's quite a timeline. So, when I was first looking at colleges, my best sport in high school was golf, and so I was looking at one of two directions. One was possibly playing on a team that would probably take place up in the Northeast somewhere, like a D2 or D3 school or something like that. Or at the time, I was looking at some schools had professional golf management programs, is what they're called.
Okay.
And that essentially what that is like mainly a business degree with an emphasis on essentially like running a golf course or being the pro at a golf course or something like that. And at the time, back in the 2000s, when I was looking for schools, Clemson had the professional golf management program, and so that kind of put Clemson on the map for myself. Now, I did not end up going for professional golf management, but I did visit the campus, and it's one of those where when I was looking at schools, I had like a picture in my mind of what I would expect a college to be. And when driving up to Clemson's campus, I was like, this is it. Like, this is where I want to be, and what do I need to do to get in here? And so, yeah, ended up at Clemson. Like I said, not necessarily for professional golf management, but really what led me down to like athletics and athletics business side is my minor was in athletic leadership. And at Clemson, that gave you array of different options. So, like sports business was one of them. Kinesiology was one of them, which I can't. Any physical therapist, anyone on that side, I had to take a class in it and barely passed. I couldn't. But the sports business side, it piqued my interest, and I kind of just went from there.
So basically, we had college football night here at the ballpark the other night. You're directly responsible for Tiger Rag being played at the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say I'm responsible for it being in there when we put in Tiger Rag the first time we did college football night several years ago.
Okay.
I had to make sure it's there.
For those that don't know what I'm talking about as far as Tiger Rag, that is the actual fight song for the Clemson Tigers. So if you're not a Clemson fan, you may not know that, but that's what it is. So, okay. Now, Robby, one of the things that is interesting about this is you've made baseball a family affair. Strangely enough, for those that don't know, Taylor Willis, who was our MC on the field, you married her. Did baseball directly have something to do with that, or was that one of those things to where you guys were together already and you decided to come together to Hickory and work for the Crawdads?
Yeah, no, so baseball had a direct tie. I would never have met Taylor if I didn't come to work for the Crawdads. So when I first arrived here, she was a suite hostess. And so that's basically where we first met. And you know, it wasn't the first year. It was like a couple of years later. We ended up like kind of hitting off, and you know, started going on a couple dates and stuff like that, and ended up now to where we are. And she's still working here now as the Triple Play Taylor, I think is how she'll be known around the stadium. But yeah, no. So very much have to thank employment here and being with the Crawdads for being married.
Now, was there an awkward conversation because I saw her during college football night wearing an LSU Tigers shirt? Did that create some consternation at home?
Not necessarily. You know, she still has worn and repped my schools, my teams for however long we've been together. So, you know, she just started her master's this past summer at LSU online.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm all for it. Now, if they're playing a different
story, all
story,
bets are off.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, obviously you're in minor league baseball, which means on a given day, if you get to spend 100% of your day actively doing what it is that you've been hired to do, that's a great day. But minor league baseball usually doesn't lend itself to that type of thing. Robby Willis, my question for you is, what is the one job that you enjoy the most out of all the jobs here that has nothing to do with what you were hired with?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's, you know, I guess there's not necessarily one where it says it's where you're not hired with, just because I know on every minor league baseball application and anything like that, it's other duties as assigned.
Yep.
And at this level, that includes anything and everything. But no, you know, obviously when I first got here, I was very much focused on group sales. As I mentioned, I was a group sales executive to start, and so that was very much just you know, client-based and sales-based and calls-based. Now, you know, I have the flexibility, and honestly what I really enjoy about, you know, our games and game days in particular is just being able to oversee kind of the flow everything at the ballpark, from the stadium perspective, from the fans coming in perspective, and just, all the way through the game, and being able to really see and capture like the moments in the stands with families and stuff like that, where, I remember stuff like that growing up, and kind of one of the things that led me to the career here is like how much I enjoyed that, and how much, if I could be able to help other families achieve that, and, what the sport of baseball can do in that regards and stuff like that. And just being able to see everything like that come to fruition is awesome.
That it is. It really is. So, okay. Robby Willis is here with us on our Crustacean Nation podcast. Robby, we're gonna peel off a little bit. We're getting to the tail end of this conversation. I'm going to put you under the microscope. You're going to get in the hot seat. You're going to be engaging in a pinch segment, where I ask you 3 really random questions, and you're going to, in your best rapid-fire fashion, give us the best answer that you can with these questions. So, question number 1. Your day is dealing with cultivating sales. However, every once in a while, you get one to fall in your lap. My question for you is this. What's the largest ticket sale or promotional sponsorship sale, anything of that nature, that you made from a random phone call?
Yeah, the one that instantly comes to mind was very early in my career. It was either my first or second year here. The company is Baxter North Cove. They're quite big down in like the Marion region.
Okay.
But they had called in, and at the time it was August, and they basically, like, the first question they asked was, "How big is your stadium?" So I was like, but yeah, but like glad to share. But no, so they did that, and honestly, it was because they wanted to treat their employees or give some employees some type of benefit and stuff like that. Initially, it was the first question really was like, what would it cost to just for us to be watching the game, like rent out the stadium just for our employees? And I was like, well, I'm not sure if we could necessarily pull that off. But they ended up buying like 3,000 tickets that were like voucher related, so they could come throughout the last couple weeks of the season. And honestly, like, Baxter wasn't even on my radar until that phone call. So that was awesome.
So Christmas and the holiday season was great for Robby Willis.
Yeah. When commission season's winding down, and then you get that call in mid-August, it was like, okay, I'm going to have a good fall now.
There you go. There you go. Okay, next question. I know that from time to time we'll have celebrities get into the ballpark. Because, like, for instance, you'll have Micah Tyler, who just performed here a few weeks back. You're going to have Lauren Daigle, who's going to be coming here performing. They're going to be celebrities that roll in from time to time. However, who's the biggest celebrity that you've ever sold a ticket to?
Yeah, I would say that comes to mind pretty instantly as well. So a few years back, Dale Jarrett's son was playing in the minor leagues, I believe, for the Orioles.
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
And we knew they were coming, and obviously people in Hickory are very familiar with the Jarrett family.
Indeed.
But some might not realize that he does still live here, and so
that he does.
One day, working in group sales, got called from, I believe it was his assistant, just saying, "Hey, Mr. Jarrett would like to purchase a suite for basically the whole homestand that I think it was the Ironbirds or Shorebirds."
It was the Shorebirds.
Shorebirds at the
Delmarva.
time, yeah, because it was before. And I was like, "Yeah, so here are the details." And she was like, "Okay, let me. I'll get this to him, and then we'll get back with you." And then not one day later, he pops into the front office. And I think our GM at the time, Mark, first initially saw him, and then Mark came in. He's like, "Hey, I have Dale Jarrett out here asking for you, Robby." And I was like, "Awesome." So I walked out there, met Dale, showed him the suite, secured. He bought the tickets from me, but nice guy. And then at the time, the whole family was out here. His dad was out here. And it was great, and it was awesome because it's just one of those things you never expect, and I'm familiar with Dale Jarrett and stuff like that, so it was fun.
It's a super nice family.
Yeah.
It really, really is. Okay, final question for our In a Pinch segment. I know that you've been here for quite a while. I mean, you've been here an eternity compared to a lot of minor league jobs out there. However, you married your wife Taylor here. You've been here as long as you've been here. If I were to ask you what the dream job is for you, is this it? Is there something else? What does that look like?
Honestly, right now, I would say this is it. This is the dream job. You know, like you just mentioned, I met my wife here. We've done we did our wedding rehearsal here the night before our wedding.
Okay.
Okay. We've had some pictures taken here as well, in our get-ups and stuff like that. But no, I mean, this is like, I always love asking the question on like whenever I'm interviewing someone for a job or something like that, and I'm like, where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years? And like, I remember myself back in the time where I'm like, well, you know, in 5 to 10 years, I'd like to be, you know, assistant GM running an organization or something like that. And it's kind of funny now, you know, obviously I'm 33 now, and to be able to be in a position like that already is pretty cool. And so it's one of those where I'm at that point where I'm enjoying what I'm doing, you know, where I'm at and stuff like that. Now it's, you know, if the right opportunity ever arose somewhere, or if Douglas decided he wanted to do something, you know, that's up to him, but I'd happily take the GM role or something like that. But no, I'm very happy where I'm at, and, you know, we have a good core of people here, and you know, as we've already talked about on this podcast, it's just a great community, especially in Hickory in particular. My parents have moved down. They're right outside Charlotte. So just in a good spot and just living in the now and happy about it.
This is a great part of the world. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm an hour away, but this is a great part of the world. Anything between Hickory and Charlotte, that's God's country. No doubt about it. Robby Willis, thank you for spending some time with us here on the Crustacean Nation podcast. I can't wait to get this one out. This is going to be a great look into your work and your life here in Hickory. Thank you for spending some time with me.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, Brian.
When we come back on the other side of the timeout, we'll put a bow on this installment of the Crustacean Nation podcast. All when we come back on HickoryCrawdads.com. Black Tie Transportation is the official transportation carrier for your Hickory Crawdads. Your Crawdads trust Black Tie Transportation to get to every South Atlantic League city in comfort and safety. You can do the same at blacktieTransportation.net. Black Tie Transportation, going the distance for you and your Crawdads. www.blacktieTransportation.net. www.blacktieTransportation.net. And we welcome you back to the Crustacean Nation podcast here on HickoryCrawdads.com. We really want to thank Robby Willis for being a part of this latest episode of the Crustacean Nation podcast. Folks, don't forget, the final week of the regular season here at home takes place in September, as it will be September 3rd through the 8th as the Rome Emperors, the high A affiliate of the Atlanta Braves, come into the ballpark for 6 games. Hope you'll join us as we wrap up the home schedule in the regular season of 2024 with 6 games against the Rome Emperors. We thank you so much for tuning in on the Crustacean Nation podcast. Until we're back with you the next time, this is Brian Rushing reminding you to abide by the claw. We'll see you next time.
In the cool Catawba River mist, there's excitement in the air. From Lake Hickory shores across Unifor, it's spreading everywhere. From the young folks to the old folks, it's a feeling they can't hide. Since the Crawdads came to Hickory, this whole town's filled with pride. Hometown baseball, it's got a hold on me. Give me Crawdads baseball, Hickory's own number 1 hometown baseball team. There's an old rebel spirit in every part of Fran's state of young. So let's stand and cheer, 'cause the dads are here and the fight has just begun. And to those who should oppose us, well, let them know this law. When you tangle with a crawdad, you're gonna feel the claw. Hometown baseball, it's got a hold on me. Give me Crawdads baseball, Hickory's own number one hometown baseball team. So come out to the ballpark for some good old-fashioned fun. Join your friends and family, the good times have just begun.